Welcome to Fumes of Life, where we dive into the highs and lows of love and strife. Here, we'll chat about the twists, turns, and all the life lessons in between. From awkward beginnings to lasting relationships, we'll uncover what keeps us together when it seems like we should have been apart. Why am I still in this relationship? It all started in the most unpredictable way. Seriously, like something straight out of a comedy show. You know those moments that make you think, this is something you'd see in a rom-com, not in real life. Yeah, that was how it started. If you'd asked me back then whether I'd still be in a relationship 30 years later, I would have laughed and said no way. I wasn't looking for love. Heck, I wasn't even looking for a partner. One day, I was just minding my own business, sipping my coffee at a cafe, scrolling through my phone, when, BM, I knocked over my coffee. It was one of those slow-motion moments. The cup tipped over, and coffee splashed everywhere. At that exact moment, out of nowhere, this person, in all their clumsy glory, slipped on the spilled coffee and crashed right into my table. We both stood there, stunned, just staring at each other, and before we could even react, we were laughing like idiots. We didn't care about the coffee anymore. We just kept laughing, and for some reason, that moment felt different. It was the kind of awkward, messy moment that, if you told me back then was the start of something long-term, I would have laughed in your face. But life's funny like that. We exchanged a few more awkward jokes, a couple of sarcastic comments, and it felt like nothing special. Two strangers in a coffee shop, making the best of a silly situation. The thing is, neither of us thought anything of it. But somehow, we started running into each other again, literally and figuratively, at random places, random times. And I can't explain it, but after a while, I realized, wait a minute, we're talking a lot. We're getting to know each other. We're kind of together? And just like that, we became a couple. And just like that, I was in a relationship I never saw coming. No love at first sight, no grand gestures, just two strangers, a coffee spill, and a series of random encounters. And 3 decades later? Here we are, still figuring out how it all started and how we ended up this far. But here's the real kicker. Why are we still in this? It's one of those questions you don't ask enough. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life and just go with the flow. But I've been reflecting on this more and more lately. Why am I still in this relationship? Why do I keep choosing to stay year after year, when it sometimes feels like the magic has faded? What's the real reason we stick around for the long haul? It's not just about love. Trust me, it's so much deeper than that. Why do we stay in long-term relationships? Let's get real for a second. Why do we stay in long-term relationships? I'm not talking about those short flings or casual things. I mean the real deal, the ones that last decades. Those relationships that have ups and downs, twists and turns, moments when you want to scream, and moments when you feel on top of the world. You've been together for years, and yet sometimes, in the quiet of the night, you find yourself asking, why am I still here? It's normal. It happens. But let me tell you this. You're not alone in that question. Now, let's be honest here. Have you ever thought about how your relationship really started? When you first met your partner, was it all sunshine and roses? Or was it something messy, something unpredictable? Most relationships don't start with a perfect click. In fact, if you look at any long-term relationship, there's almost always a bit of awkwardness, a bit of uncertainty, and yes, a fair share of confusion in the beginning. I remember thinking, this doesn't make sense. Why are we even together? But somehow, over time, that awkwardness turned into something deeper. That's how it usually goes, right? We start with one thing, maybe attraction, maybe curiosity, but the reality is, love doesn't just happen, it evolves. And here's the truth about love, it doesn't stay the same, ever. The things that drew you to each other in the beginning, they fade. Think about it. That quirk you found so cute when you first met? Eventually, it becomes part of the norm. And if you're not careful, it can even become annoying. The truth is, whatever made you fall in love at first will eventually fade. It doesn't mean the love is gone, but it does mean you have to work harder to find new things to love. And when the initial spark fades, that's when the real work begins. If you don't find something new to love about each other, that's when the cracks start to show. That's when breakups happen. But here's the kicker. When the love fades and you're wondering whether you should keep going, that's when you start asking yourself the tough questions. Is there still something here worth fighting for? The big questions. Is it worth it? We've all heard that relationships are supposed to be easy, right? Well, that's a lie. Relationships are work, real work, and anyone who tells you otherwise is probably lying or doesn't know what they're talking about. It's easy to think that relationships should just work, that they should be effortless. But let me tell you this, if you're expecting things to stay easy forever, you're in for a rude awakening. Love isn't a static thing. It doesn't just stay the same. It changes, it evolves, and we evolve with it. The problem is, when we get stuck in this idea that things are supposed to stay the same, that's when we start getting frustrated. We start looking for answers outside of ourselves, asking, why isn't this working anymore? But the real question is this, are you growing together? Are you finding new things to love in your partner, even as both of you change? If you're not, then yeah, that's when things start to break down. But let me challenge you here. When was the last time you asked yourself, why am I really in this relationship? Not in a negative, this is bad way, but in a, let me dig deep and figure this out kind of way. Is there something here that's worth fighting for? Because sometimes, even in the hardest moments, there's still something there. There's still a reason to stay. Maybe it's the shared history, the little memories you've built together, the inside jokes, or just the comfort of having someone who's seen you at your worst and still sticks around. It's not always about the big moments. Sometimes it's the quiet, everyday things that make us stay. The hard truths, cheating, betrayal, and what keeps us going. Let's talk about the hard stuff. The stuff no one really wants to face. Cheating, betrayal. When should we walk away? If you've been in a long-term relationship, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, cheating is a deal breaker. It's a big one, right? We all like to think we know what we would do if that happened in our relationship. But guess what? The reality is different for a lot of people. Here's the shocking truth. Most people who are in relationships, even if they know their partner has cheated, still choose to stay. Why is that? Are they foolish? Maybe. But they're also holding on to something. Some thread of connection that they're not ready to let go of. I've had these conversations with friends. Take Maya, for instance. She'd been in a relationship for 8 years when she found out her boyfriend had cheated. She didn't leave though. Instead, she told me, there's more to us than just that mistake. We've built a life together. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes, it's not about the mistake. It's about the years, the memories, the shared experiences. And I'll tell you another thing, it's hard, really hard. The idea of leaving someone, especially after so many years, is terrifying. And you start thinking, is this it? Is this the one mistake that's too big to overlook? But then, you look back on everything else, everything that's been built, everything you've shared, and suddenly, the betrayal doesn't seem like the only thing that matters. The real question becomes, can we move forward? Can we rebuild? Can we look past the hurt and see the bigger picture? Should you stay or go? The final word. It's funny because no one really prepares you for the tough moments in relationships. The moments when you start questioning whether you've made the right choice. When you start wondering, am I still happy here? Is this still what I want? The reality is that relationships don't have clear answers. They're not like puzzles with one right solution. They're messy, they're complicated, they're constantly evolving. So how do you know when it's time to go? How do you know when to walk away, or when to dig in and fight for the relationship? The truth is you don't. There's no clear-cut answer. But one thing I've learned over the years is this. Relationships aren't about finding the right person. They're about becoming the right person. You can't just wait around for things to magically get better. Sometimes you have to actively make them better. It's about growth, patience, and learning together. And when you're at that crossroads, wondering whether to stay or leave, ask yourself this. Can you tolerate the flaws? Can you still find something worth holding on to? If you can, maybe it's worth sticking around. If not, maybe it's time to walk away. There's no right answer. But one thing's for sure. Relationships are a journey, and sometimes, that's enough to keep you going. If you've got a story to share, or you're still figuring out the puzzle of long-term love, hit subscribe, drop a comment below, and tell us what keeps your relationship alive.